Morning. And we are taking into account the discharge of a contract amount, and in that, agreements opposed to public policy. Now, what we have to do is we have to take into account the exceptions. Following are the exceptions to the rule that an agreement in restraint of trade is void. See, when we take into account agreement in restraint of trade, it is completely a void agreement. But there are some exceptions for this. So, what are the exceptions that we come across? Okay, all these things will come to know. Sale of goodwill. When you take into account goodwill, it is nothing but a reputation, name, and fame of a business. So, when you want to sell the goodwill, when you want to sell the good, when you want to sell the goodwill, okay, there the agreement is not said to be void. That is nothing but one exception that we come across. A seller of goodwill of a business may be restricted from carrying on similar business within specified within specified local limits as long as the buyer deriving title to the goodwill for him. Yeah, when we come across sale of a business, when we come across sale of business, okay, the seller he will sell the business to the purchaser. Automatically, what will happen is the goodwill also will go to the purchaser. But the thing is, the goodwill of the seller, it will be there. Basing upon the goodwill of people, they will come to their business. But the purchaser, he won't get the goodwill. So, what the purchaser will do is, he will ask the seller, you see, you should not start the same type of business in the surrounding circumstances in the local limits. You can start at any other place. I don't mind. But thing is, if you start a business in the local limits, automatically people they'll come to know that this business was not there for you, and they will search for that for you. So they will come to you. So you should not start a business. You should not start a business, okay, in the local limits, because it is one way a barrier for me, okay, because I want to get goodwill. When I want to get goodwill, then I can prove myself whether I can able to do the business or not. So in that way, okay, the purchaser he will ask the seller not to open any similar type of business in the local limits. That is nothing but one exception. The second one is partners agreement. Okay, when you go for partners agreement, all the partners they have to go into an agreement, and this agreement it may be oral or written, and it is always good if it is written. And when it is oral, automatically so many things will happen because, okay, some people they may forget the terms and conditions of the agreement. Some people they'll keep the terms and conditions. So all these things you will come across. When you come across all these things, okay, it became a big nuisance, and the business won't run properly. So that is the second exception that we come across. And trade combinations. Trade combinations. You see, people, the traders, they belong to different businesses. Whatever it may be their businesses, whatever it may be their businesses, they'll come to an association for some purpose, for some purpose, and that purpose it should serve all the traders. Okay, it should serve all the traders, and people they will come there is they form into an association, and they'll take some decisions. They'll sit together, they'll discuss coolly, and they'll come to a conclusion that these things we should not take into account. That is it. Traders in same line form an association to regulate business or to fix prices. The regulations are not unlawful even even they are restraint of trade. Yeah. See, when you take into account the price fixation, all the people they have to sell at the same price. There should not be any up and downs or fluctuations. So businessmen in the same line, they'll come to they'll form an association for the competition purpose or for the fixing of the prices. Though it is unlawful, okay, though it is unlawful, it is not a restraint of trade because they have to survive. They have to survive, Amma. That's why they'll form into an association that is nothing but trade association, and they will take the rules and they'll discuss among themselves. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, they'll form into an association and they'll discuss to regulate competition or to regulate the market or to fix the prices. Even though it is unlawful, even though it is unlawful, it seems to be like an exception for the restraint of agreement for restraint of trade. This is the third. And service contract. Okay, service contract. This is also one of the exceptions that we come across for restraint of trade. Okay, what is that service trade? The terms service agreement of an employee is prevented on accepting any other engagement during his employment and a similar engagement after the termination of his services. The first one valid and it is not in restraint of trade. The second restraint is void as its object merely to restrain the competition computation by the employer. Yeah, one person he will give a job to you. Okay, and you are working over there. Okay, at the same time, okay, you should not engage in another job. Okay, when you are doing like that, automatically the employer he feels some difficulty. He feels some difficulty because you are an employee of that employer, and when you are doing engaging yourself, you may not do good for this first employment. At the same time, you have to adjust and you have to shuffle from here to there, there to here. Like that, you have to shuffle. So that is not good as far as employer is concerned. You see, you that's why they'll say that when you are doing a job, you have to do that job only. Okay, but you should not entertain another job or you should not engage in another job because we cannot expect. Okay, we cannot expect. Okay, if even though you say that, sir, I can able to adjust like that, even though if you say, okay, the employer he will thought, okay, it is not good and fair. So after termination of the first job, you can do the second job. So when you take into account like this, okay, you have to think from employer point of view as well as you have to think from employee point of view. Employee, for employee, okay, we are going to get something in addition. Okay, as cold water is for a hot water. Okay, so the employee point of view is correct. Okay, you cannot say that it is bad. At the same time, you have to think from the point of employer also. Because when he is engaged in two jobs or two or more jobs, how can he do that? How can he do favor to me? How far the performance of that employee will be for the first one? It is just traveling on two boats, keeping two feet on two boats. Even though the employee says, "Sir, I can able to understand, I can able to understand, and I can able to adjust," but that is not the question. That is not the criteria from the employer point of view. Once, once if you are employed at one place, you have to do that. You have to satisfy the work. Okay, but when you are just like a vagabond, when you are just going here and there, okay, you cannot concentrate, and I don't get anything. Okay, I don't get any good thing from you because you are working. I mean, when you are working over here, you are thinking about the second job, and when you are working at the second job, you have to think about the first job, like that. So no employer he will accept this. That is true, because you have to think from employer point of view also. So that is true, Amma. So this is nothing but the first one. When you are working at one place, it is said to be valid. He is giving something and you are giving your services. Okay, fine. That is valid according to court of law. But the second one, that is going for another job, engaging himself in another job, it is not valid because it is void. Okay, so that is the thing. The first one, the first one valid and is not in restraint of trade. The second restraint is void as its objective merely to restrain the competition computation by the employer. Okay, automatically when he is doing at another gym, automatically some loopholes, some tactics, some items will go to that, and automatically you will come across a competition among these two businesses. So in order to eliminate that, we have to go for this. Okay, after termination, you can go and join. But the thing is, at present, people they are going like that. People they are going like that, and some people they are promoting, some people they are agreeing, and some people they are not agreeing. Okay, whenever the employer when he agrees, okay, it's well and good. Whenever the employer is not agreeing, you have to oblige the first one, and you have to leave the second. But most of the people, okay, at present they are going for secondary, primary and secondary. Okay, as far as myself is concerned, I'm telling you the fact. Okay, I'm occupied in a primary this thing. I'm occupied in a primary this thing, and after some time I have started this video classes. Okay, okay, for secondary, as a secondary source. And this thing, it is not, I mean, a restraint to the job what I'm doing. Okay, moreover it is helpful. Moreover it is helpful. Of course, I didn't get so many subscribers. I didn't get any so many subscribers. People, mean, I don't know whether people they are seeing or not. I don't know that. And people, when I ask them to subscribe, people what they are doing is, okay, we are going to subscribe, but no one they subscribe. Okay, of course, I had to scold myself. I don't want to scold any other people because I may not be good. My lecturer may not be good to up to their mark, but whatever it may be, I want to do in my own way. Okay, so the this thing is nothing but taking the video classes is nothing but a secondary source. But I have to think, I must see that it should not create any trouble or problem to the first occupation. So this is how you will come across. Okay, next we are going for void agreements. What are void agreements? Void agreements means those agreements which do not, okay, good, which do not, which are not valid. So those are nothing but void agreements. So what are the void agreements? How many types of void agreements are there? And what are the sections that we come across? All these things we are going to learn. An agreement, though, possesses all the essential elements, must have the must have been expressly declared as void by any law in the country. Okay, an agreement, though possesses all the essential elements, must not have been expressly declared as void by any law in the country, but the Contract Act specifies some agreements as void. Okay, when we are having all the essential elements of an agreement, no law can say that it is void. No law of any country of one country they'll say that it is void. But one thing you have to keep in mind is the Contract Act. It specifies that some agreements are void. That some agreements are void. You cannot say that all the agreements are declared to be or not declared to be void. There are some agreements which are declared by Contract Act as void agreements. Okay, when you are having all the essential elements, no law of a country they'll say that there are void agreements. Only the Contract Act only, it will specify that some agreements are said to be void. What are they? Okay, let us go. Some of the void agreements are Section 11, agreements made by incompetent parties. Incompetent. Okay, incompetent parties. You should go and enter into an agreement by competent parties, but not by incompetent parties. Second one, Section 20, agreements made under a mutual mistake of fact. Mutual mistake. Both the parties they are in the mistake, and the fact is something. So that is said to be a void agreement. Section 23, agreements where consideration or object is unlawful. Consideration and object, when they are unlawful, they are said to be void agreements. Section 24, agreements where consideration or object is unlawful partially, half, some amount, some portion. Okay, that is also said to be a void agreement. Agreements made without consideration, section 25. Okay, so when we go for consideration, okay, no consideration, no contract. No consideration, no contract. So when there is no consideration, automatically it's said to be void. Section 26, agreement in restraint of marriage. In restraint of marriage. That is the thing that we come across. Okay, Section 27, agreements in restraint of trade. Agreements in restraint of trade. Already we have learned that in the previous topic. Okay, agreements, there should not be any restriction for marriage. Similarly, there should not be any restriction for trade. Okay, all these things. Section 28, agreements in restraint of legal proceedings. Legal proceedings, anyone can go to court of law. There should not be any mere restriction, or there should not be any stoppage for going to legal proceedings. So that is about. Section 29, agreements where the meaning is uncertain. Okay, the meaning of the agreement, when it is uncertain, when it is not going to happen, then also it is said to be a void agreement. Section 30, agreements by wager. Okay, this is the new thing that we have to learn, and in the next coming topics, we are going to learn this wager, what is wagering, or who is the wager, all these things will come to know. Next, section 56, agreements to do impossible act. Okay, agreements to do impossible act. Whatever it may be, the impossible thing that we come across, we should not do. Suppose if we try, automatically it is the agreement is said to be a void agreement. Okay, now we are going for that. Section 29 provides that an agreement, the meaning of which is uncertain, the uncertainty may by existence of quality, quantity, by title, or by the price. Okay, uncertain. It is not certain. It is not correct. Okay, and that uncertainty, it may be by existence of existence by quality. When the quality is not good, then it is said to be an uncertain. Quantity, it is also uncertain. And price, it is also uncertain. Title, it is also uncertain. So when there are uncertainties in these aspects, quality, quantity, title, and price, so automatically they are said to be void agreements. Example, A agrees to sell B 100 tons of oil. There is nothing to show what kind of oil was intended, what quality of oil, and what will be the price. So the agreement is said to be void agreement. Okay. The example, there is a beautiful example. A agrees to sell B 100 tons of oil. What type of oil it is? What type of oil? There is nothing to show what kind of oil was intended. Whether he is sending, whether he is going to sell crude oil, coconut oil, or the other types of oil. All these things we have to take into account. What kind of oil was intended? Okay, what quality of oil? Quality also we have to take into account. What quality of oil it is, and what will be the price? You didn't mention the price. I'm going to sell 100 tons of oil, like that he told. But what is the price? He didn't mention. So automatically this agreement is said to be a void agreement. Okay, fine. Agreements by way of wager, Section 30 MR. Okay, a wagering agreement is between two parties where one party promises to pay money or money's worth on the happening of an uncertain event, uncertain event, and in consideration, the other party promises to pay if the event does not happen. Okay, uncertain event. Okay, if it is going to happen, I am going to pay you some amount. If it won't happen, you are supposed to pay me some amount. Like this, it is nothing but an agreement between two parties. Okay, by two parties. And here, where one party promises to pay money or money's worth, here money or money's worth will present in this vision. Okay, they'll talk. Suppose, take for example, okay, A and B, they are two persons. See, A says that if it rains today, I am going to pay this much amount to you. If it won't rain, you have to pay me certain amount. Okay, happening of this thing is uncertain. You cannot predict and you cannot say that it will happen. Okay, so this type of agreement is nothing but wagering agreement. Okay, example: A and B enter into an agreement that A shall pay 500 rupees to B if it rains on Wednesday, and that B shall pay A the same amount if it does not rain. See this. This is a beautiful example. Just now we have discussed. There is a wagering agreement. There is a agreement. The event may be uncertain because if it is to happen in future or if it is already happened. So this is about the wagering agreement. And next we are going to continue this topic. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.